Hello, Raging Noob on YouTube. Like I said, I was going to get a video response up of my Phantom case. So here it is. You kind of want to know about the cable management options and features. It's a great case and it allows for great airflow. It actually dropped my temperatures on my computer down about 10 to 15 degrees. It's got such a direct route to really just be awesome. But anyway, I looked at your video again just to kind of review all the components that you had, and I noticed that you had the NZXT Sentry fan controller, which I do not, which might make it a little bit more difficult, but I'll just kind of give you the rundown and kind of where you probably or possibly could run your cables. And you also said you don't have a modular power supply. Now granted, a modular power supply is going to help a lot, but there's still plenty of space to actually route your cables and flatten your cables on the motherboard tray. So we'll start by just getting a front view of the case, and we'll open it up and we'll just let you look at the inside of mine. I just think this case is beautiful. Anyway, I have to set the camera down and I'm going to push it back because that's how big of a table it is, and that's how big the case is. It's not enough room. It's going to hit the floor. So, 1 second. Okay, we're going to open it up now. I really like this latch system that they have right there. It makes it a lot easier. Just having to push down. That is an awesome feature. Alright, so here's the inside of my Phantom case. I have only got one hard drive. I noticed you might have one or two, three. Okay, I'm back. Well, like I was saying, a modular power supply is going to really help this case. Alright, well, we'll just go ahead and get started on this whole cable management thing. So right off the bat, I noticed it was kind of a cluster right up in this area, right up in here. And really, it's completely unnecessary to have that, because these first two fans here can actually be routed straight through the two hard drive cages, all the way through the back. And there's actually a hole right back in here that actually can go right to the back panel. And like you said you were going to get a modular power supply, which is going to be awesome because you can cable tie almost every single cable that you're going to be going straight to the back right here at the back. You can cable tie them, then you can flatten them out once they get to the back. Now for my particular motherboard, like all the power switch and the audio and the USB could all be routed very cleanly to the back, and you can see with my 24-pin connector right there and my graphics card, and there's my SATA down there too, right here. Alright, so a little quick demo on this. My power supply, or my graphics card, I cable tied right here, so it would be less of a cluster right there. I also cable tied my extra two pins right here, so they would be not dangling all around. The 24 pin, I didn't need to cable tie in the front at all because it's already tied together. Now up here at the top, there's my 4 pin. You can't really see it in the camera, but my 4 pin is right about back in here. Now we're going to open up the back and let you see that back there. Just 1 second. Alright, so here's the back side, and you can't really see that. I'm going to close up the front. We're going to move it to the left. Alright, so here's my cable management with all this. There's not a lot of cords. but it's enough to be, it could possibly be messy. So now there's all these holes. I'm assuming you know a little basics about cable management, and you need cable ties. Cable ties go great with these little holes, because you can go through the back, or go through them, and then come up this side, and then tie it around the cable, and you can actually press the cable against the back of the motherboard. So we'll go ahead and start. Now this is the fan controller up here. These are all the cables. It comes down here. This is the fan controller, and the USB and audio right here. So let's see, these ones splitting off right here are my audio, power switch, and USB. I have them tied a couple times right here. I have them tied once to tie all of them together, and then I have them tied back to this big cable tie, or cable management slot right there, and I have it tied from under there and over the top of this little hole right here, and then I have the rest of them going over there. And now this hole back here is my 4-pin and my extra fan, and the other fans are all going right through here. On the Corsair, the H50, there's the back fan, the rear exhaust fan back here, and then there's also my extra H50 fan, and then this big large 200mm fan on the top. They're all being routed through this little hole, which works beautifully. And there's also a cable tie right there. There's a little spot for the cable tying right there. Then I have the other extra. I have the one red LED 120mm fan on my Corsair H50 going down to here. Otherwise, the rest of the cables are being routed up into this little slot right here. Then I have them tied here. I have them tied here so I can add a little tension so these stay tight. Then I have them actually all the way routed back, and they're a little bit looser, but they're routed back here so they get pulled tight here again. And they're still tightly connected, and then they have the connection here. Then they're getting wound up into here. Now, the USB ones, I used quite a few different tie holes. I used one right here, 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 here. I did not. There is not one there. And then I just used this big one down here at the bottom. But I pulled them tight enough all the way through that they would be tight, and they wouldn't take up as much room. Then I split off the fan controller and all the extra fans right here. There is an extra tie hole here, 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 and I pulled them extra tight all the way down to here. And then I used the extra fans that I wasn't using, and extra ports that I wasn't using. I tied a few times and bunched them up in here. See if I can get them out. Right here. I tied them a few different times. I tied them like 3 times. I tied them once right here so they'd be tight. I tied them here so they'd be tight, and then I wrapped them up all together right here so they'd be extra tight. Well, my camera is running out of time, and I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, anyway, so about this cable right here, there's this bunch of cables that I just pulled out a little bit ago. Yep. And like I was saying, I cable tied all these together right here, just so you know they're bunched up and kind of out of the way in a group, and it takes up less space that way. And then under this first set of removable hard drives right here, this hard drive cage, it can actually fit on the very bottom level, which is very convenient because they are completely out of the way and they're hardly visible unless you're actually really trying to look for them. Alright, next I have, let's just talk about the 24-pin power and my graphics card and the 4-pin. I have them, let's see, you can twisty tie them at the bottom here, or I pulled them actually up, and then I can twisty tie them right here. It actually still leaves you enough space to be able to close the back door. And then from there, I routed mine up, and I tied it at this first twisty tie, or this first cable management hole, and then I went up, and then I pushed it in through the rubber grommets. But since you don't have a modular power supply, you might possibly be able to get away with doing coming up, gather all of them together, come up, and then, you know, flatten them out right here, flatten them out in this little spot right here, and then tie them, or wrap them around and then tie them to this one and that one, to this one and that one, and then you can come back down and then you can place them where you need to. Let's say your 24 pin power, you could actually, instead of rounding it back down here, you could actually still keep going up and round it up here, and you could even possibly tie it to this hole, cable tie hole right there, and then you can go through the grommet and plug it in. The 4 pin, however, you're going to need to actually splice it off from up here. You can't flatten, well, I guess you can still flatten it out here with the rest of the group, but then you're going to have to let it go on its own and come up into this to this hole right here. That leaves you just enough room to be able to wrap it around and hook in. Graphics card, it can be the same way because there's still plenty of room for it. You could still wrap it around and then come up and then go here and then go through, maybe even right here, come down and then go through. And now I only have one SATA hard drive, so mine is pretty simple. I don't know how many hard drives you actually had, but mine, I actually still came through here. See, I tied them down here, right there. They're tied with a cable tie. Brought them down there, and then I actually routed it in this little groove right down in here. There's a little groove right here that's actually wide enough for your cable to go all the way through, even down into this little spot where it kind of comes where the cage and the edge of the case comes in. So you can actually still route it around here and plug in your SATA cable and your power SATA cable. And then I put it into this little hole right here, and it still fits. And then the 4-pin Molex for the fan power and all the fan controller power would actually be within the same route as the SATA cable. It can still be routed within that little groove right down there. And then if you happen to have some extra cord from that, it's actually long enough, it can come down this little group right here, go off over here, and it actually makes it all the way over to about the middle, to this back hole right here. And then you can take your extra 4-pin connectors that are on that one cable, and you can actually route them right up to the side into this groove right here, and it still fits just fine. And then I pretty much think that's it, really. You just got to manage to be able to use your the cable tie holes just wonderfully. And there's plenty of them, and you can do a lot of work with it. You know, there's probably better ways of being able to do this, but this is the convenient way for me, and my door still closes just fine. If you wanted to make it look a little bit neater, I actually took the external SATA powered cord, and I actually routed it over the top of the rest of the cable, so it kind of looks like it's one thin line all the way going up into here. And I routed these as closely as I could together, so it looked a little bit neater. Might consider doing some better management with this cable right here. I might actually attach it right here and see if I can actually make it all the way up here, come back up down here, which would be a lot neater, and I could actually route it into these cables over here and then come over there a little bit better. But yeah, you know, I still get great temperatures. My motherboard idles at about 30 degrees Celsius, and my CPU is overclocked to 3.8 gigahertz. It's a Phenom 2 quad core, unlocked CPU, and it idles at about 34-35 degrees Celsius with my Corsair and the push-pull. I do not use this front fan because I don't have one yet. I don't know if I'm gonna get one yet because my temperatures are just fine. And I actually plugged this my extra fan that I have onto my CPU. I plugged it into this what is that? It looks like it's gonna be that front panel fan, this one right over here, the optional one, I actually plugged it into that one, to that cable right there, and that actually allows me to use this fan controller button right here, and I can actually control that front CPU fan with that one, which is awesome. I didn't know if that was going to work or not, but I don't know why, and it did. So I hope this kind of helps you out a little bit and kind of give you an idea of how you can manage your cables a little bit better. If you have any more questions, just go ahead and hit me up with a private message or whatever on YouTube. Alright, thank you. Bye. Oh, I just thought I'd add on that, you know, it does close just fine. There's not a single bit of bulge in the case at all. But anyway, yeah.